I came to Drake in 1988 as an instructor. My office was in Memorial Hall, and Don was one of the first people to greet me. It was his job to make this rookie instructor learn how to use some of the tools.
I might have met him at the start of the school year and then met him again, or for the second time on a football trip that fall. My first impression of him was that he's a very friendly person, a very warm personality. He's a good listener, so he's very interested in hearing what people have to say.
Don was probably the most wonderful human being that you could have as a manager. He cared about you as a person. He would ask about your personal life. He would talk to you each and every day. He would stop by, make it a point to stop by and visit with you, which is a great thing when you work at a large organization, to have somebody who supervises you that actually cares about you as a person.
For the first 3 conversations I had with him, I called him Ed, because I thought he was Ed Media.
Yeah, the department's name was Ed Media.
Educational Media.
We had a lot of people call Ed.
And so after a little bit, he kind of says, well, my name's Don Moon. And I said, well, who's Ed? And, well, that's Ed Media. Oh, that's Educational Media, and I felt about that high. So that was my introduction to him.
So he is known for his patience, and he would chat afterwards, and we would enjoy that. But he always had a way of helping without making me feel guilty, or like, why don't you know that? He said, let me show you how this could work, and he did.
A regular thing for Don was to go over to Old Main, talk to the administration, find out what they wanted to do, what they wanted, even what technology they wanted that was new and coming up. And he would come over and sit us down as a staff and say, this is what they want. They want this designed, or they want this equipment. And we would just problem solve the project out. And he just oversaw that. And he was a wonderful department director because he knew our strengths, and he promoted us to administration. And then we just did our parts, put it back together, and he would go present it.
Don was very innovative. He'd always come up with ideas. And there were ideas that Brad and I would look at each other, just like, that's not going to work, but we'll give it a shot. And then there were ideas that were just they're off the chain, and things that are still being used to this day. He was miles ahead of himself with some of the ideas. He would find the resources for us to be able to do those things. And then it also encouraged us to be creative and trying to make stuff work off of, out of a box full of wires, we'd make it work.
One of the things that I absolutely loved about Don is, if we were televising a football game on Saturday that started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the crew would have to be there at 10 a.m., and guess who else would show up at 10 a.m.? He would be there, he would, throw some cables over his shoulder, walk around the stadium with us, and do things that someone at that level of management absolutely did not need to do. And the fact that he did that always left an inspiration on me.
When something new would be talked about on campus or coming at us and we'd be talking about it, the next thing you know, the first Apple computer in our department, black and white, came, and it was sitting at a desk back in Joe's area. Yep. And Don basically said, what are we going to do with it?
My funniest story about that is something, I don't know if Brad remembers this. I was also messing around with trying to get email to work on there. And Brad must have sent Don an email. It had to be him, because Don comes out of his office, he reads the email, he comes out of the office, and he says, you can't just walk down the hall and tell me.
No, we were using the technology.
So we were using the technology, and he knew that, but it was really funny. He just was like, Brad, can't you just walk down the hall and tell me?
One of the other major changes he had to move us through was the onboarding of the Iowa Communication Network. That was the fiber optic network that was full motion video and connected to Drake and all kinds of other institutions throughout the state. Not an easy thing.
Don partnered with Grandview and DMAC to get, when cable television came into the Des Moines and the Des Moines metro area, he had partnered with those schools to get to get the colleges and universities a channel to broadcast on. And at that point in time, that was like gold, because television was
free.
It was free. It was free, and we had access to it. And through a lot of those relationships that Don had, managed to get, which was kind of a really innovative system. It's not used much now, but wired up all of the campus buildings with cable television, and it was a two-way system, so we could originate programming in just about any of the campus buildings at the time. And that was the key piece that made it. We could do live production to about at 86,000. I think it was about 86,000 subscribers, potential subscribers.
He was very committed to Drake and the mission of Drake for both staff and students to thrive, and he was very proactive in moving things forward at Drake and using our staff and directing our staff to make that happen.
When you have a really great boss and then you have a really horrible boss, and you compare the two of them, and it's just not even close. After working for Don, that was the last really good boss that I had in my life.
Lots of people say that their family is the most important thing in their lives. He lived that, and I saw that over. I saw it over a period of nearly 40 years. Saw him in the father relationship with Brian and his two brothers, and then certainly saw him as Brian, and when Brian and Carla got married, and certainly welcoming grandchildren into his life was, you could see how joyful and how happy he was to have a next generation, to have you guys so close here in Des Moines.
It really was family. I mean, we worked with people that we cared about. We worked with people that we were involved in personal lives too. And, this guy was like a brother to me for a long time. When my father died, Don and Vi, one of the administrative assistants, were there. They showed up at my house, my mom's house, with food and stuff. It was, those kind of things that were beyond whatever that work setting was, so too.
As a leader, it was just like a family, and several of us are still very close, and it's because of that leadership that we had with Don. And I think he was very much a parent figure, a father figure for us, and but just knew how to show our strengths, and he knew how to really cultivate our talents into projects that were taken to fruition at Drake, and just really proud of that. Proud of the work I did there, and proud of the people that I got to work with.
It was more like Dad being disappointed at you. He didn't really have to say a whole lot, but you could tell.
Yeah,
he could tell that they were disappointed, and there was a couple of times, and it's like, and what was cool about it though, it's like, if that's an issue, then let's make sure we have the tools so that this isn't an issue, and then let's work through it. Let's figure it out. And sure enough, he was right on top of that.
Don was an educated technology specialist. He was an educator and a tech specialist, because there are lots of people who are really great with technology and innovations and now all kinds of things, but they're not necessarily good teachers.
One of the things that is truly special about Don is he cares. You had absolutely no question that man cared about you as a human being.
He was pretty compassionate, I think.
Friendly with everyone.
Empathetic. Oh my gosh, he never met, everybody was his friend. Wanted to talk to everybody.
Respected.
And respected.
Loyal, very loyal, and very proud. Like, he was proud of all of us and proud of the work we did, and just compassionate and just very caring and dedicated to Drake University and all of us too.
He is the kind of man that you want to be.
I miss catching up with them. It was a good friendship too. And he was always so excited about when I left Drake, I had a 2-year-old. And he was so excited as Charlie was growing up to know what Charlie was doing, and that he was close to the ages of his granddaughters. And then he was really excited when we had our twins.
His constant smile and wisdom.
And when you do a Drake event, the people you're doing the services for thought very highly of him, and that makes you feel good. If you have a supervisor that people do not like, it makes it a little darker and stuff like that. Yeah. But he was always real well liked. The department was liked.
Since I'm 250 miles away from my dad, it's been a joy having had the opportunity to meet Don and get to know him over the years in a number of different capacities, but mostly around Drake and mostly around family. And I think those are the things that I'll always remember. How much he loved his family, how much he loved Drake and education, but really how much he enjoyed people. And I think that's why they called him the mayor of Deerfield, right?
He left a legacy in many places. He left footprints in many places. He helped faculty, students, and I'd also like to say staff, because students and faculty weren't the only ones. It's the staff of Drake, hundreds of them, who will benefit from his expertise. And remember him for years to come.
Just thank you. It was a great part of my life that I think really, I'm just very grateful. And just thank you for all the time that you gave us.
I would say thank you to him for the opportunity for us to start here, find here.
Thank you for the opportunity to have been able to come here to Drake. There was a lot of things that as a young man I had that I wanted to do, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do them. And he gave me the opportunity to be here at Drake, and so far still continuing to be able to explore and do those things. Also, thank you for being part of my family and allowing me to be part of his family as well.
And I love you.